Hi everyone and welcome to Legal Limelight. Today's guest is my dear friend and amazing attorney lawyer Britt. Britt runs Premier Property Law. She's a property lawyer out in Florida, and she also runs the CEO Club. She is an incredible businesswoman and attorney, and I'm so excited to have her on here. Bringing you up, Britt. Hey, Soupy. Hey, Morgan. Good to see you guys. Hey, Britt.
Hi. Hello, everyone.
Hi. Oh, there she is, the married woman.
Well, we were texting this morning, just so everybody knows. Francesca was like, I'm wearing a Brit visor, and I had this exact image of you in my mind. I love it.
Out in the garden. Yeah, it's amazing.
Beautiful. How are
Yeah,
you?
I'm good. Now it's summertime, so like when I see you, you're always out in the sun.
Yes.
And I like literally like this is my Brit visor. It reminds me of you.
Yes, I
Um,
love it. Vibes.
there's only like three three short months of this, so getting it all in.
Yeah. I mean, now is the time where us Floridians don't really venture outside very often, so this is your time to shine.
Oh my gosh, but how are you? Give everyone the
Fantastic.
big news. Big news.
Yes, I just got married in Italy, in Lake Como. It was magical, like more magical than I even expected, and I had very high expectations. So it was wonderful.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. You know what's
Yeah.
funny is one on I think like one of our first lives, someone in the comment was like, or I think I said you were your husband. I made a comment about Jason like being either your husband or your fiance, and you weren't engaged yet, and you're like, yeah, Jason, if you're watching, tick tick tick.
Oh my God, that'd be so funny to go back and watch that. I'll have to find it.
I know, I know. No, it's so amazing. And, it's like, I'm sure it wasn't easy, or maybe it was easy. Maybe you've done all the work to set your business up so that it was good, a good transition to come back. How was that? How was that being able to like take time off for your wedding, time off and coming back to work?
So I'll be honest, there were several shifts going on in the months leading up to the wedding, and I don't know if I like manifested that because I was trying to like get everything out of the way before I left or what that was, but I got a lot of shifts and changes and like revamps done in like the January, February to like April, May-ish
Yeah.
time. So when I finally went away, I told my team, I was like, listen, I'm going away. Like for the part of the wedding, like I do not want to do anything related to work. I'm not opening my computer. Like if someone dies, don't even let me know until after because they'll still be dead, the kind of thing. Like jokingly, obviously. But that was like it was like a no-go. And I had planned to start logging on again like the day at 2 days after the wedding. I was like, I'll be available on the 7th. But then I felt the seventh came
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, I don't even need to log on. Like they've got it. They're good. I built the team with this in mind that I could go away and everything would be run well and taken care of and the clients would be served. And I created that.
It's
So it was
amazing. It took
a lot to like build it up to that point, but now that we're here, it's incredible feeling.
Yeah, I've watched your journey. What advice do you have for people who have set up the systems and have built teams but haven't taken that step of like going on vacation for 2 to 3 weeks and being like totally out? Do you have any advice for people who are, you know, nervous to do that?
Yeah, two things. Test it out and be upfront with your team. So if you're going to go away for any period of time and you don't want to log on or you want to disconnect, tell your team, hey, I'm going away for X days and I'd really like to disconnect for a little bit and kind of revamp, come back refreshed. So what needs to happen for that to be achieved? Like what do I need to do for you? What do I need to help you with? How do we get comfortable with it? So being like really transparent with your team and then also testing it. So like I went like all in 2 years ago and I was just like, I'm gonna go away for 2 weeks to Italy, like see you guys later. And it was okay. I did work for that trip. But what I probably should have done is like gone away for like a long weekend and taken like a Thursday and a Friday off and been like not available, kind of tested it out a little bit more. But I was open with my team explaining that I wanted to disconnect and do those kind of things. So those are my two top things. Open with your team and do a little test run.
That's good. That's a
Yeah,
great. I know, like I'm guilty of that. I'm guilty of being the one that's like always on,
always
always
available.
yeah, because and what are your thoughts on like out of offices? Because I am like a bit I have conflicting opinions about out of offices. I think it's good to set a hard boundary, but then also too, it's like uh, I'm I'm always working, right? So what advice do you have for that, like the out of office thing? Go
Like
all
putting an
in
away
or
message type
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
I
I
do
don't
it.
remember last time I put one
Oh,
on.
I do it because I want to set that expectation that I may not respond. If I choose to respond and it's something that I'm in active communication with and they see that come in, but we're still talking, it doesn't matter anyway. They're going to expect me to continue conversing with them. But if it's something new or something different that I'm not working on, I want to make sure I'm setting that expectation that you're not getting a response today. Might get one
I like that.
tomorrow if I choose to, but you want to make sure that people aren't like frantically emailing or sending something expecting a response and then they're like, what the heck, it's been 2 days and I haven't heard from Francesca, what's going on, right?
Yeah, it's like expectations
Yeah,
instead of like, oh, okay, like Francesca works all the time. Great. She took a vacation during the 4th of July, like
yeah.
that's fine.
And it's the same as
Um,
like we have opening hours, like we have hours for our firm. They're open, 9 to 5, right? We don't just put open 24/7. And if someone's available at 9 p.m., they'll respond to your email. Like it's just setting that expectation of when you're available for somebody.
that's great. If you guys
Mhm.
don't know, Britt is not only is she an incredible lawyer and her team is amazing, but she's a coach. She has programs that helps lawyers. She helped me and my husband launch our firm, and we built a roadmap. We've exceeded all of our expectations. Things have gone like very well, and I attribute so much of it to Britt and the ability for Britt to keep things really easy, simple, and just saying like setting goals and setting a roadmap. I think like that in a nutshell. I'm just gonna leave it there. You're really good at helping people figure out where they want to go and how they're gonna get there, and then exceeding that.
Ambitious entrepreneurs tend to have so many ideas and things just bouncing around in their minds at all times. They want to try this thing and this thing and that thing. But I think, especially with you, when we had that first conversation about you starting your firm, it was kind of like take a step back and look at what you really want and then how do you get there, right? I
Yeah,
remember you were a bit conservative with like your timelines of when you'd start and where you'd be. And I just knew immediately, I was like, you're going to do it a lot
get it
sooner.
out.
It's going to be so much quicker than you think because you were so zero and like you were zeroed in and focused when you started. Like you had all these ideas and all these things, but then you got down to like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. Here's who I'm going to target. Here's who my ideal client is. This is what I want to build. And I mean, rapid fire. For those
Rapid
who
fire.
don't like, well, I mean, everybody on here should know, but I mean, you like exceeded every expectation you set for yourself, and you did it sooner than you thought you would too.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that was a good thing is getting the timeline out because we set these arbitrary deadlines and then it puts unnecessary pressure
Mhm.
to like it because you may not hit it or you may hit it
Right.
earlier. So we kind of got rid of that and I just focused on how many like I basically like did reverse math like how many clients do we want and then that exceeded. So
Right.
then we were like, okay, we how do we structure it in a way to support the clients that we're getting? And now we're a team of like 13. So we focused on the product, the clients, and the systems instead of like, oh, we need to make this much by the end of the year, or we need to bring in
Right.
these many clients by the end of the year. But I think like instead of just not having any roadmap, we've done that reverse math where we set goals
Mhm.
and the dates kind of have been irrelevant. We just have set goals that we want to get to, and then when we hit
Mhm.
them, it's been earlier. We're like, all right, well, what's the next goal? What's the
Right.
next goal? So you've been amazing at that. What tell us like what programs you have going on and how like other lawyers can, you know, use you as a resource.
Yeah, so right now I'm doing exclusively one-on-one coaching. So I'm
That's great.
available basically 24/7 for my clients if they have questions, strategy, and we meet one-on-one every single month to go over their progress. So kind of what you were just saying about I have my vision and my goals, and there's somewhat of a timeline, but just making sure you're regularly looking at where you're at and that you're going towards what your vision is, going towards what your goal is. And also a lot of like shiny object syndrome with many of my coaching clients where
Yeah.
they're like, oh, this new person I found is doing this thing, and I'm like, chill out. We have a strategy. We're working on it. This is how you're going to get to where you need to go. Let's not get distracted. Like you only have so much energy, right? So that's my one-on-one coaching. And then the
Stop
CEO club is
scrolling.
going to
Just
come
use Lawyer
back.
Britt. Stop
The CEO
scrolling.
club is going to come back towards the end of the year, and I'll share details on that towards the end of the year. That's more of like a
Okay.
group container, something that's ongoing with you or not quite at that point where you want the one-on-one support and you're like ready to dive in. CEO club will give you the resources, the tools, the knowledge, the advice that you need to continue your growth and get to that point.
It's amazing. And how do you, I don't think balance is the right word. Like I'm still on this like existential growth path of like what how to live how to like live a lifestyle that you've designed. So I don't know about the word balance, but how do you manage to get the things that you want to do done, including your building your business, building your programs and your coaching on top of personal life?
Being really specific on what I'm going for. Like, we all have that like vision in our minds of what we want our lives to look like. So getting that clearer and then only actively spending your energy on things that'll get there. And sometimes that's personal things, things you want to do for fun, traveling, etc. Sometimes it's like, I'm not going to do this event because it's going to take too
Mhm.
much time or I'm not jazzed about it. Instead, I'm going to spend my time doing this thing that will further this business. Like I don't do anything that's not like
You
100%
say
this is
no.
great. Yeah, say no.
You say no.
Hmm.
Um, and I get these comments like, "How are you doing it all? How are you doing it all?" And I literally just want to be like,
No.
I'm
Yeah.
not doing it all. Like I pick and choose the things, and it's as you know, like it's almost it's harsh. It's like harsh at times, like to say no to like things and people
Mhm.
that you know you've given so much energy to in the past, but once you
Right.
get really intentional you're like nope, like you've taken way too much of my energy, I'm setting a boundary. It's not easy, and it's why most people don't do it. They'd rather like just deal with it, and instead of having to like tell someone no.
Right. And even now, we had this situation pop up several weeks ago where we were invited to go out to dinner with a bunch of friends and then go out afterwards. And so we went to dinner, but we didn't go out afterwards because it's like,
Good for you.
it doesn't feel like it doesn't feel fun. Like, let's do dinner, we'll have our time, and then go home and like get actual rest and do whatever it is you were doing. So it's not like always like a hard no, I won't be doing anything with friends or no, I won't be doing, seeing family for 2 weeks or whatever. Sometimes you can like just like kind of put things in the nooks and crannies. I'm going to do this thing, but not that thing.
Yeah, and like when you don't make a big deal about like I used to overthink, oh my god, if we don't go to this thing then like our friends are gonna get upset and it's gonna be, and now I just like I literally do that. I'm like, yep, we'll come to this, and but we can't make the after party, or we can come
Yeah.
during the afternoon but we can't stay, we have to leave early. And it just
Mhm.
like at this point you are either on this train or you're not, and this train is not for everyone, like, you know. But and I'm sure you've had to you've experienced that too, Britt. Like you've had exponential growth. And when we talk about growth, sometimes it almost feels like we're different people. Like I feel like I've become different versions of
I mean,
myself, like the old, like
yeah.
almost like an old Francesca. So how have you embraced that part of this journey? Because to really become who you are and what you want to be, when we're talking about super high achieving women, people like Britt runs a multi-million-dollar company. This is like radical stuff. So when you are positioned and focused on that, becoming that and being that and more, how do you manage the letting go of old things, old habits, old relationships? Like how do you handle that?
Kind of a snowball effect, I think. Kind of like I don't know, what's a good analogy? Working out. The first time you go to the gym, it's not comfortable. You don't know what you're doing. It's not fun. You can't lift anything. It's like you don't have endurance, whatever, whatever. But by the 50th time that you go, you have your routine. You've got your cute outfit. Like you know exactly what you're gonna do. You feel great afterwards. So it kind of like snowballs. The more you do it, the more you get comfortable in what you're um what you want to do and what you don't want to do, what you're building, what you're not building, the more you snowball. So it becomes almost like a habit, and you don't feel badly about saying no to something because that's your identity. That's what you do. That's who you are now.
You just see, okay, you just hit it. Like you've gotten rid of the guilt.
Right. Yeah.
You've gotten
Yes.
rid of the guilt. You do it so often that, and you're so that you just don't even you don't think about it,
Right.
because it is hard. It's hard to say no. It's hard not to have to show up to everything, especially when you've done all that stuff. But I know personally watching you that you've had to let go of things to become the person who you are and the business owner
Mhm.
that you are. You've had to let go of the typical 9 to 5 working for someone else, which is not easy.
Right. I mean, if I was sitting in a room with my 2019 self, she would probably be like, "Oh my gosh, like how did you do that?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
this is
definitely.
great. You're living our dream and more. Like how'd you get there?" So it really is like it's a snowball effect of like getting comfortable with your new decisions and making that, I said identity earlier, and I think that's a huge part of it too. Is like I am not someone who does X. I am someone who does X.
Yeah.
It can be related to anything, relationships, activities, business, home life, anything can be related to anything.
I think a lot, well, I'll give an example of what I think that many people go through. I know I'm not alone. So for me, the hardest thing to get from like where I was, and where I was, I mean, I was in big law. I was,
Successful.
the first, I was successful. It was like textbook, like success, right? But I
Yeah.
was fucking
Yeah.
miserable and unhealthy and all of the things. Like I just was like, what am I doing? And that's the definition of success. So I wrote down like who I want to be, who I think I am, and how I want to live my life. I like designed my dream life. And to do that, I literally, I had to look to say what's holding me back. It was me. I was holding myself back
Right.
because I was trying to please so many people. I was trying to please all the people that, were encouraging me to be a top, big law attorney, or all the
Mhm.
people who knew me when I was younger and like haven't had an expectation of who I was and who I'd always be. So letting go of that to
Right.
help me get to where I want to go was key, and not having to please other people. Once I stopped pleasing everyone else, like my world changed.
Your identity also changed, like how you see yourself. I mean, through other people, but just in general, portraying yourself a certain way, expressing your desires and your goals to people. They saw you in a certain light and in a certain way, and like, oh, Francesca is this big badass lawyer who goes to this big office, right? So you kind of had to like change that identity of this is what I want now. And
Now I'm in the
sometimes,
country.
yeah, literally your background looks like it's fake. Just throwing that out there.
There's like butterflies and bees that just like live in that bush.
It's
It's
beautiful.
it's cool. Yeah, it's something that I could have never done had I been like, no, I need to be in New York. I need to. But I broke away from that. I figured as long as I get access, as long as I go in, I continue my relationships. We have an office space there. Our team is there. Like it's good. Like it was
Yeah,
all these like limiting beliefs in my head.
it is. It is the limiting beliefs. It's the uncertainty that leads to those beliefs.
It's not easy, and I know you've done like Britt. I keep saying it, like super successful, one of the top in our industry. But like, what is your number one tip for anyone who is looking to really level up their life in law? They don't want to quit law. They believe in it. Like, do you have any advice for people who are looking to just live their lives a little bit better while practicing?
Yeah, I mean, there's always another option. Sometimes when someone comes to me and they're like between two options that don't seem great. Oh, I can take this job, but the hours are insane, the pay is great. Or oh, I can take this job, pay is terrible, but I'll have a work-life balance. I'm like, there's a third option somewhere. You're not
Mm-hmm.
seeing it right away, but there's some option in here, right? And it's really about like following that like inspiration, that little nudge in the back of your mind of like, mm, can I do it differently? Can I see this differently? Is there another option for me? Kind of like inspired action, I think is the
Yes.
term that people use, right? But they're like, I'm not going to choose those two things. I'm going to try to see if there's a third that kind of fits with what I want because it might not always be readily apparent. You might be in a situation thinking to yourself, well, this is as good as it gets. I don't think that's true. I think there's another option for you somewhere that aligns with exactly what you're looking for, which might not look like what I have, what you have, what anyone else has, but it's still available for you. Like, you create your own reality. That's really the best advice I can give someone who's like not totally satisfied in their current position, but isn't sure like where to go next or how to build that next life.
It's because it's scary. Like so you're between those two options. That's the options that everyone else takes.
Right.
So you got like the 99% of people, and you have all doing the same
Mhm.
thing. It make, and again, talking about limiting beliefs, like that's all you see, so that's all you know. But
Mhm.
even just brainstorming, you could start your own business. Now there's all these firms like ours that are almost like a hybrid model where you are building your own practice in a firm. So you don't have to do all the stuff that like Adam and Vanessa on our team do, like the
Right.
admin business, but you could
Mhm.
build your business within a business and you get a
Right.
rev share model.
Yeah.
So I think we're entering into
Incentivized to,
that.
yeah, I think that's true too. And, you know, our experience is starting our own company, so that's where we come from. But I've had many people that I've talked to over the years who
Yeah.
didn't want to follow our path, didn't want their own business, but wanted that flexibility, wanted that freedom, which is what I've tried to build for my team. And I think they enjoy that. But that's always an option too. Like, you don't have to start a business to have your flexibility in your life and whatever it is that you're looking for, because again, it's not just one option or the other. There's another option in there somewhere. You can find a company to work for that allows you that flexibility, that gives you what you're kind of looking for, in addition to the support, right? So there's always another option. You might have
I
to
love
create it yourself, but there's always
I
another option.
I love that. And I think like what me and Tally and like a lot of other lawyers in our community have done is we we found people who are also equally open-minded and brainstorm other options. So
Mhm.
like
Right.
the three of us all have different business models, but even being around and hearing the different business models or the different ways to do something, I
Mhm.
think helps like this creative helps you create and think of other ways than just do I take this job or this job. Like there's so many other options, like you say,
Right.
but surrounding yourself with people who are open-minded too.
It's like literally it's like being a lawyer, right? Like, many times lawyers will come up with an argument or look at case law and they'll want to talk to other lawyers about it. Hey, what do you think about this precedent? Or what do you think about this argument, right? It's like putting all your heads together so you can do the same thing for not law, for your life, for your goals, for, hey, how do you think what do you think is available to me? I think opening up that brainstorming is important.
Yeah, and not just doing it with like the lawyers who have taken your path, like finding other lawyers have other paths too.
Right.
But yeah, no, this is amazing, and like you really have been the key to unlocking my untapped potential because it is scary. It is really scary to go into a different direction when all your friends and your colleagues and the network you've built has gone like in one direction. And that's kind of what I've done. I am trying to bridge the gap between a newer, next gen type firm and the traditional law. Just super interesting. And why I can't like scroll Instagram because I'm like, I have to just have blinders on or else I'll freak out.
Especially in your industry, in the IP,
Yeah,
the global brand protection, that's fairly new.
it's new and it's fun. But for like your client, like you're saying, your clients, you're gonna work with. I would say for anyone who's like interested in getting a coach or like joining like groups like Britt does, pick something. Pick like start and like actually do the work. You don't need a
Mhm.
million things. Like even if you just like join Brit stuff or whatever else is out there, just pick something and commit to it because
Right.
that was the best for me. Like Adam and I immediately when we decided to start a firm, we were like, we just need to work with Brit. Like work with Britt. We also work with Brian Kavicki, like my former like
Brian.
sales coach, who's our coach.
Hmm. I love
But
Brian.
just pick something and like do it. It it could change your life.
Yeah, inspired action. I mean, I was listening to like podcasts about like online marketing, YouTube, like years before I had a YouTube channel. I just thought it was interesting and I liked it. And I was like, this doesn't apply to anything I'm doing, but I'm going to learn about it. And it ended up being helpful and fruitful because I took that first step.
It's
You don't
amazing.
have to have the whole, what's that Martin Luther King Jr. quote is you don't have to, I'm totally butchering this, but you don't have to see the whole staircase before you take the first step, something along those
Yeah.
lines, right? So that can be applied to so many aspects of life, but especially like just starting your journey into like the next thing, whatever inspires you.
I love that. Thank you, Britt. You've really helped us. You've helped our business immensely.
I'm so happy I could
So,
do that.
how can other people, what's the best way that people can connect with you and find you?
Yeah, on Instagram. I'm always on Instagram. Lawyer.Britt, Britt. Send me a DM. We can talk about what your goals are, what you're looking for. If I'm not the right fit or if I can't help you, I will help point you in the right direction. I love to see people succeed, which is why I
Yes.
share so much online, is because I saw other people in the early days of social media living their best lives. And I was like, maybe I could do this too, right? And it kind of got me thinking. So that's why I share what I do. That's why I share the knowledge. I just love to see others succeed and build something for themselves. So if I can help anybody do that in any way, I would just love
You're
to.
amazing, Britt, truly. Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you, Britt. We'll have to catch
Thank
up
you
and
for
talk
having
all
me.
about your wedding. And I need to see more
Yes.
pictures.
More pictures coming soon.
Good. And thank you, everyone who watched today. We're here every Thursday at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and we'll see you all next week. Bye.
Bye.